How did you end up in Andaman?
I'm now here for my third time in 3 years, and I do not feel like a tourist.
Meet Scotty MasterPeace, a travel content creator who has been exploring the world for over 20 years. From being a radio host in Manchester to embracing slow living in the Andamans, Scotty's journey is shaped by his deep connection to the islands. In this episode, he talks about
If I'm riding the bus around the city,
it has a vibe.
it has a vibe, man. I love it when it's got all the lights on it and it's got the music on.
You must have heard about Mykhailo Polyakov. He went straight up to North Sentinel. This was the third time he tried that.
Sad to say, but it's always Americans. John Chow, this guy.
They feel like they are superior.
First rule of traveling is you better learn to respect the rules of where you're going. He didn't. If you ask me like what's the worst place you've ever visited, my answer is the United States.
You are from Manchester.
I am from Manchester,
Yeah, and-
5,000 miles away.
How did you end up in Andaman?
In the West, like not many people have heard of the Andamans,
Yeah.
even travelers. The only things you can really point to Andaman in a conversation is obviously the tragic 2004 tsunami, because that was big news, and the North Sentinelese tribe. That is also quite a big story internationally. So not really many people would know about the Andaman Islands. So I was actually on a live podcast show. We somehow got onto the topic of North Sentinel Island, and that just sent me to Google Earth, and I was just looking, because like the assumption when you learn about North Sentinel Island is that it's an island in the middle of nowhere, not connected to anywhere else, because it's an isolated tribe and this. So I looked on Google Earth, I saw it was part of a group of islands. I've been a traveller for like nearly 20 years. So I was like, I wonder how much it costs to get there, assuming it would cost way too much money. And then I found I could fly from Manchester to Port Blair for an affordable price, let's say. So I kind of just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go, why not? So I just booked to come. I didn't do any research about, I could have come in the middle of monsoon season for all I know. I didn't do any research on it. I was just like, I can fly there, so I'm gonna go there. So I just booked it. And once you've booked a flight to a destination, that's when it kind of becomes real. Oh, okay, now I need to actually do some research into this place, find a hotel and all this stuff. So I just learned all about the Andamans, and then I decided I wanted to like try travel vlogging, because I'd always previously traveled mostly as a DJ, but I'd never documented any of my travels. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this big trip to this remote part of the world that not many people in the West seem to have heard of. So I want to get into the idea of travel vlogging. So yeah, that was my first understanding of the Andamans in 2023, and I just came here for a month, March 2023. So I just came here and visited Port Blair, visited Neil Island, and was just like, I love this place. For me, a lot of traveller destinations don't quite appeal to me, because I'd say they're quite saturated. Like, I'm not to say those places aren't beautiful and that I wouldn't enjoy them. It's just when I know a lot of travellers go there from the West, that kind of puts me off. So with the Andaman, I had beautiful weather, I had tropical islands. And you do get international tourists here, you do, but not on the scale of like a Thailand or those type countries in Asia. So I came here, fell in love with the place, and when I fall in love with a place, it's happened previously at other destinations where I love to return, make friends, get to know locals, because I travel solo, and the Andamans just became that. And I'm now here for my third time in 3 years, and I do not feel like a tourist. I do not feel like a tourist.
Crazy, bro. So you started creating content after coming to Andamans?
To that level, yeah. I've been in previous places and done small little bits, but never like full on YouTube episodes of traveling. I'd never done that before. And I knew when I was coming to Andamans, I was like, okay, this is going to be quite a big trip. I want to document it, because I wish I'd started travel vlogging 10 years ago when I was DJing in Europe, when I was visiting the country of Serbia a lot. I wish I'd started documenting stuff then, but I just never did. But when I came to Andamans, I was like, okay, I want to vlog
This is the
this.
time.
Yeah, you know, even if it's the worst vlog in the world, even if it's terrible,
Yeah.
I still want to create something from this journey, even if it's just for me to watch back. And then obviously, you know, I still look back at some of my earlier vlogs and think like, wow, that's not so good.
But you haven't created or documented any of your trips you had earlier.
Not properly. I'd made obviously short stories and things like that, but I was always just living it instead of documenting it. And then it would be after the trip, I'd be like, oh, I wish I'd actually documented it. But I was always just in the moment, just living it. And so I thought, now when I come to Andamans, I actually want to make content, make travel content, because I come from a media background. So presenting, speaking to a camera, doing that is
How did that strike you, like to start off from Andamans? Like a lot of people know you because you have created content about Andamans.
I think it's a bit of a cheat code because I'm, I guess, a tourist here. That's what makes people want to watch it, and India has so many people.
So you knew about this thing?
No, I didn't. I came into this not understanding really anything. But then I kind of figured out, oh, like there's a lot of people in India. There's a lot of people that obviously watch travel content. And I don't think there's that many people doing it or have done it here on Andaman. So I felt like, oh, if I can grab that, you know, my content
Build
in
an
Andaman,
audience.
it might work because, you know, many people, and I get a lot of comments saying, oh, I love how you show off our islands. And I always try and make positive content. I'm either pointing things out to an international audience or trying to cover something positive, but I try and stay away from anything which I would see as negative content.
Or offend.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to offend people. Like when I say like, I love this place, so I'm not going to come here and like ridicule anything about that. I'm really not. Like no place is perfect. Every place will have its like small problems, but I don't want to focus on them. I would just want to focus on places, people, events, just things that I find strange. The example, I think the first reel that really kind of went viral was about the private buses.
Okay.
To
A
you,
lot of people know you from that.
Yeah. Now, to you guys, that's maybe just the bus in the city. It's an everyday occurrence. But for me, it's like, wow, look at these buses. They have lights on them. They have sound systems. They're a vibe. And for me, I think people like to see my reaction to that, and I like to show that to the rest of the world. So,
I'll give another point to this. So, private buses and sort of government buses are majorly the mode of transport that we were used to.
Made to what that I'm used to as well.
In Manchester.
Well, no, here. Well, yeah,
Oh.
I use the bus a lot in Manchester. We have a very good
okay.
bus network.
Yeah.
But even here in Andamans, it's like people might assume, oh, he's a tourist, he's got money, you could ride the auto everywhere. It's like, no. I still think like my cheap mind of, okay, you know, if I can ride the bus for 18 rupees, and you know, sometimes I have to be careful, like with autos, you know, I can take the same trip 3 times and pay 3 different prices, and I'm happy to pay a little more as a tourist. That's okay. But you know, so some I've been quoted at a high price sometimes. But yeah, for the bus, like I love the fact that, you know, it's a confidence thing as well. As a tourist, some people may be a bit put off by doing that, but no, I'll jump on the bus and people will talk to me on the bus, and little things like that is I love. It makes me feel not like a tourist. If I'm riding the bus around the city, I don't quite feel like a tourist.
I think that's one of the key thing, that if you want to explore like a local, use the public transport. I was in Delhi for like 3 years, and I'm so used to Delhi metro, and sort of I have built an emotional connection with Delhi metro. So people tend to use the public transport, and public transport are good here.
It's good.
Comparatively very good.
I cannot compare it to anywhere else in India because I've spent little time on the mainland. Even in Chennai, it was just using the metro to and from the airport. But yeah, here I find the buses are good. You can relatively always get a bus to the destination that you're trying to get to, and they're quite regular.
And it has a vibe.
It has a vibe, man. Like you don't understand. I wish I could take the idea of private buses from here, because just I love it when it's got all the lights on it and it's got the music on. Okay, some people have said to me, "Oh, Scotty, when you've been working all day and you get on a bus and it's loud, it's not good." I'm like,
people from your place?
No, people from, like, local people, Andaman.
From Andaman?
Yeah, okay. They can say, imagine you've been working in the office all day and you've got a bit of a headache, you're tired, and then you get on the bus and the music's like boom, 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 so I could understand that, but for me, it's a vibe, it makes me laugh, it's funny, it's exciting, it's cool, it's super cool.
And you have gone to the bus where it had all the lighting.
Yeah.
It gives you a club.
I think I got lucky, because even making that reel, that wasn't like some big plan. I was around the bazaar. I was near the private bus station. I was like, you know what? Why didn't I just try and somehow document what this is? Document what it's like.
Was that one of your first reel?
Probably, yeah. Because at the time I was more focused on long form content, and I've now been focusing more on reels. But like, even the guys who were owning and driving the bus, they were like super happy to know I was coming on and documenting and showing, like, I see a big speaker and I'm like, guys, look how big this speaker is. And I think they get enjoyment out of seeing my enjoyment from something as everyday as the bus. So I love the buses here, honestly. I don't know if it's the same in all India, but the private buses here are so cool. So cool. Since I got home, like, I found a Facebook group called Andaman Bus Lover. And I'm like, that's me. Like, this group is like, they're my people. There's other people that love the bus as well.
You found a community.
And I love the fact how they, like, post videos and they celebrate, and it's like such a cool little random community, which I love seeing their posts, because I am an Andaman bus lover, so completely. So it's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool.
A lot of the meme pages and the community sort of bus lovers, Andaman bus lover, have reposted and shared your content a lot.
Yeah, I think that one reel is near 6,000 shares on Instagram. Shares. Which is just like crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, nearly 100,000 views on that. But I love it when if I get recognized in the street or anywhere, and people say, I've seen your videos, I always ask them, which one? And nine times out of 10, it's the bus reel. So I'm like, that's amazing, because it was so much fun. And some people may kind of like make a joke of it. This guy is so crazy, he likes the bus, but I don't care. Like, you can see on that reel, you can see in my eyes and the smile on my face, like, it's authentic. I'm like, wow, people, this is so cool.
So in Andamans, which all places have you been to?
So visited Neil Island. Like, Neil Island is my love. I really do love that place. Many friends there, I love the vibe. When I go to Neil Island, that's like my vacation. That's, where I'll be around the beach a lot, I'll go swimming, I'll just see people and more chill out. And then when I'm in Port Blair, I feel like it's more, I love city dynamics. I'm from a city and I love the city of Port Blair. So when I'm in Port Blair, it's more like seeing friends here, kind of like living normal in a way, and then making content. So obviously I've seen probably most places of South Andaman, from Wandor to Chigiatapur, to Port Blair, Chatham. I've been in Bamboo Flat, Mount Harriet. I really would, and I get a lot of comments inviting me up to places like Mayabunda, Rangat, Diglipur, which I haven't seen yet, but there's always going to be future times to see those. I'd love to do a whole north to south, like start in Diglipur and make my way to Campbell Bay and see all the places. One of the places I haven't visited is Havelock. I've never been to Havelock.
Damn.
I know a lot of people say, why? But there's not necessarily a reason why. I'm sure Havelock is a very beautiful place, but it's like, all I would really do in Havelock is go to the beach, maybe. But I can do that in Neil Island. And again, I've got lots of friends in Neil Island. I know Neil Island very well. So I just keep saying there's not much Havelock can offer me that Neil can't. I very nearly went to Havelock a few weeks ago, because I booked my ferry back from Neil Island
Oh.
to Port Blair, but they messed up and actually booked me a ferry to Havelock.
So you end up in Havelock.
No.
Okay,
So I had the ticket and I was like, oh, well, I have got a ticket for Havelock. Maybe I should just go. But I didn't. I went back to the ticket office and changed it for Port Blair.
Port Blair. Yeah.
Quick question: am I calling it Port Blair or Sri Vijaya Puram?
You can call it any like.
Because I'll have people. Every reel I post where I say Port Blair, there's gonna be somebody who's gonna comment say, "No, bro, it's Sri Vijaya Puram," and I'm like,
Yeah. So there has been a debate for a while now, like Sri Vijayapuram. I don't know. I personally love Port Blair. It has been like connected to from my childhood to now, and like if things changes, like Port Blair has been a major element of our childhood. So I think it will take a while, like at least a decade, to have that shift. A lot of different cities ka name has been changed in India. Like if you know about Mumbai was earlier Bombay. Like there are people.
Right. Is that I'd heard both. I assumed Bombay was just the coastal part of Mumbai.
No.
I didn't know it was a complete different name change.
Yeah. People still call it Bombay
Because once I had a layover in Mumbai and the ticket said Mumbai/Bombay. I just thought it was, what I assumed was the airport was in the Bombay part of Mumbai, but you cleared that.
Mumbai is a city.
Yeah. But I feel like now I could make a poll on an Instagram story, like, should I call it Sri Vijayapuram or Port Blair? And I would be like,
say like
90%,
10%.
Yeah.
Would
I might
say
do that. Who knows? I
Port
might
Blair.
do that.
Yeah,
I might do that. That would be interesting.
You can create a reel maybe
Yeah.
about that. So, how is your typical day in the islands? Neil, maybe you can say for both, like Neil and Port Blair.
Typical day on Neil, I try and wake up like around 8 o'clock. I'll go for a swim, go to Barakpur Beach, which is my favorite beach, and there's my people from Neil Island will be like, "Whoa, why?" I just like the vibe of Barakpur Beach. So I go to Barakpur Beach, go for a bit of a swim, go for a nice sort of like in the water. Then I'll go for breakfast, mostly at the Elephant and Four Wise Men, because Shivanka's my friend and their food is so good. And it's always...
Barakpur is towards that hidden cave, towards Vibes and Dive?
No, I'd say Elephant and Four Wise Men's probably in the middle of the island. Hidden Cave and Vibes and Dives is Sitapur, which is the very east side.
Yeah. Sitapur.
I
always get confused between
Elephant and Four Wise Men, sort of like in the middle. But what I really love about the Elephant is it's such a tourist spot. There's always travellers there, so I'm always hanging out there a lot. So yeah, I'll go to the Elephant, get some breakfast, probably hang out for a bit, maybe go and see some friends around. Then I usually take a bit of a midday nap. I don't know why, but Neil always feels hotter than Port Blair.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Yeah, so I'll maybe grab some lunch, then take a nap, and geez, it sounds quite boring. And then probably head back out again, catch up with some people wherever they are. Probably end up back at the Elephant for a bit, hang out, get dinner, watch the sunset around there, and hang out, and then go home. Yeah, when I'm on Neil, I'm quite living, just having a chill vacation. A day in Port Blair, quite similar. I'll wake up, I'll get breakfast probably in Milan, in Aberdeen Bazaar. If anybody knows me, I'm there.
Like Milan is like where my parents would take me for a treat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back in the day when I was like in my second or third grade.
Yeah, it's my go-to for breakfast. Puri in Milan, and then I'll probably go home. I tend to eat before I have a shower. I think because I literally live above Milan restaurant, I just call out, I get breakfast, then I go home, shower, get ready for my day.
So in Port Blair, you try to get a homestay like close to Aberdeen or maybe in the city itself.
Yeah. I love being just right in the middle of it.
Because isolation, you already have Neil Island when you're on
exactly.
vacation.
Yeah. I can.
What to do
Neil Island's my peaceful time, my chill out, my. And Port Blair, then hopefully if I'll have plans for that day, maybe it's meeting up with some people, maybe it's, I don't know, Yeah, going for a drive, filming something. I try and make a reel nearly every day. It could just be an idea off the top of my head, or so I try and film something. I like to go walking around the city. People a lot see me just walking around. But yeah, let's say I'm meeting up with people, so I'll be out for like maybe 4 or 5 hours. I'll come back in the evening. I may just be at home in my hotel room for a bit, maybe editing something, maybe catching up with people in the UK, maybe just sitting and watching YouTube, you know, just chilling out for a bit.
How's your YouTube feed like?
So I'm a big sport lover. So, you know, there's always like sports or news to catch up on.
In sports like football? As you are from
football. I'm a big football fan. Formula One, love my Formula One. So yeah, so you know, I can just be at home, chilling out, maybe just editing a quick reel, and then again I'll be central to maybe go get some dinner. That could be again back at Milan, maybe a Metro, maybe a new place. You know, maybe.
Shout out to Metro, by the way.
Shawarma from Metro. It could just be. If I'm with people all day, it's going to be much busier. If I'm not, it's going to be a little more quiet. There'll be some days where I'm in my hotel room most of the day, and that's fine, because I'm here for such a length of time. And again, I don't feel like a tourist. I don't feel like
you can take that.
Yeah, I've done all the tourist things. I've been to Ross Island, I've been to Cellular Jail, I've done these things. So, like, because obviously some tourists, if you're going to be here for 5 days, it's like you want an itinerary for every day. I don't need that. I don't need that. I can just be living in a way. And you know, some days, the day when it rained, so obviously we've got kind of rainy weather here right now. The first day it rained, I was in my hotel room most of the day. I can call out for little things if I need, like I might go to Majestic, the Majestic Cool Bar. It's one of my favorite places in this city. You know, I'll go to Majestic at some point, but yeah, it's just like, imagine you had a day off from your job. You might not do much. You'll just enjoy the day. That's kind of what some of my days are like here. I just they can be quite quiet, and some days can be quite full, especially if I'm meeting up with people and going to different parts of South Andaman, over to Wandor, or you know, people always want to show me stuff. So they may be like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's meet up. Let's go to this place. I want to show you this place. And
these
like
are the people who are like local.
Yeah, people who had classes like friends that I've got here in Port Blair. Yeah. That day, you know, when I met up with you and some friends, and we went for lunch in Wandor, and we were on Wandor Beach, and we stopped off in a few places along the way. And it's like, you guys obviously love to show me parts of South Andaman, so that could be my day as well.
Can you talk about your best experience and worst experience in the Andamans?
My worst experience happened on Neil Island. I was coming back from a birthday party. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I got my guy to drop me at my bicycle. He did offer to take me all the way home, but I said to him, I want to collect my bike, so I've got my bike for the next day, my bicycle. And if he'd have said to me, bro, you might have a problem on your bicycle at night time with the dogs, it would have twigged, and I would have let him take me home. But yeah, so he dropped me to my bicycle, which was about in the middle of the island, and I live in Lakshmanpur, which is on the west side. So I had to ride from the middle to the western side of the island. And you know, the dogs in the daytime, they're friendly, they're chilled, they're peaceful, they're just laying around. I assumed that's what they would be like at night time as well, but I come to learn, you know, they get quite territorial. And obviously I'm a tourist, so I made that mistake of not understanding that.
And were you aware of the street dogs thing? Like,
of them being aggressive at night time? No, I had no idea that that's what they would be like at all. It's a bit of a tourist rookie mistake. I've since learned, you know, if you'd have been walking with your bike, they wouldn't have tried to attack you or anything. But because I was on the bike, so I've started riding up the road, and I'm approaching this pack of dogs that are howling, barking at me, really loud, really quite aggressive. So it's just made me want to ride faster, just to try and get past them. Again, tourist rookie mistake. I've given them something to chase.
Yeah.
So they've chased me, like a whole pack of dogs chasing me.
If you would have just walking, it wouldn't have happened.
Nah, they'd still probably bark at me, but they wouldn't have chased me. That's what they did, and I figured it. I gave them something to chase, so they chased me. But they were very aggressive in their barks, like snapping at my ankles, and I'm trying to ride as fast as I can. I'm holding my phone for the light because you don't get street lights. You do now, but certainly this time, certainly certain parts where you get no street lights. And obviously at 1 o'clock in the morning, there's no humans around. Everything is closed. Everything is packed up. It's just dogs. So I've gotten past one pack, and as they've stopped chasing me, and they must have stopped chasing me because I'm going into the territory of another pack. So they stopped chasing me, and then it's just repeating again. Pack of dogs in front of me, howling, barking. And I'm just trying to ride as fast as I can, trying to bark back at them to try and not scare them away, but try and be sort of like back to them so they, like, in my head, that's going to somehow help. But yeah, I just had to ride across the islands, but I was scared. Like, I was genuinely scared because I thought if I fall off this bike, they really could bite me and attack me. And 1 o'clock in the morning, like no one around, you know, what the hell am I going to do? But yeah, the market, which is in the middle of the island, that was probably the hardest bit because there was easily 10, 15 fucking dogs chasing me, and I finally got back to my hotel, and I'm like, my heart was going like crazy. The adrenaline, it was horrible. It was a really, really horrible experience. And the funny thing was, the next day I'm leaving my hotel and I'm seeing these same dogs, all cute, lying down, friendly, and I was like, guys, like 12 hours ago you were trying to rip me apart, you were chasing me, you were aggressive. And so yeah, that was just, again, a tourist rookie mistake that I was thinking, is it worth going through all that again for content? But it simply wasn't. The content would have probably been pretty good, but I wasn't willing to risk the risk that it would have taken. So yeah, I just learned, you know, don't be riding your bicycle out past 9 p.m, 10 p.m. at night time. Once the island kind of shuts down from human activity, the dogs become very territorial. It's like the island belongs to them. So something that I had to learn, basically. But yeah, that was hands down the worst experience that I've had here on Andamans. The best was probably experiencing Holi. 2024 was my first experience of Holi here on Andamans in India. It was on Carbon's Cove. And it was just amazing. It was just amazing to come together, be part of that celebration. Obviously, I'm solo, so, you know, I'm just here on my own. But everyone's always like, oh, come speak to us, sit with us, come dance with us. They wanted to put the paint on my face, and I was obviously documenting everything. And I just loved that. It's a big smile on my face. I love the energy. I love the tradition. But I find that here on Andamans, whether it's Hindu celebrations or Muslim celebrations, you know, everyone wants to include me, even though I may not be part of that religious group. They want to include me. They want to show off. They want me to have a good time as well. So yeah, experiencing Holi was just, I love the energy. I loved everything about it. It was amazing. But even as well, just coming into land on the islands, it's quite a long journey for me to get here. So when I'm flying in to the airport in Port Blair, I just get this huge excitement. It's like, wow, because it's quite anxious dealing with flights, many flights, airports, immigration. There's always, you can always find problems. So when I know I'm coming into land to Port Blair, like, oh, that's behind me, I just get this like excitement. It's like, oh, I'm here. And especially now when I'm returning, I get the same. Like when I'm landing, coming into land, I just get this fucking excitement that I'm back.
Meeting your people.
Yeah, just that I'm back here and
revisiting.
My adventure's about to start all over again. And then on the flip side, when I'm leaving, when I'm flying out from the Andamans, like, it's sad. I hate going home. I hate leaving. I know I have to because my life isn't here, but it's sad when I've got a long journey to get back home. So yeah, it's always sad when I have to leave the Andamans. Yeah, for sure. So
can you take us through your life in Manchester?
I started working from quite a young age. I had a job in a restaurant when I was like 14 years old. So I was earning money and not a lot of people earn money at that age, but I was earning money. So at that time in the UK, you leave school at the age of 16. So when I left school at 16, I kind of already had a job. So it just meant I could work more.
So how did you manage your school and work?
I wasn't working loads, but I would work Friday night, Saturday night in a restaurant.
Sort of weekends.
Sort of weekends work, yeah. The odd midweek as well, sometimes a little in the week. I would work in the evening in the restaurant and be at school in the day. So obviously when I left school, it just meant I could take more hours working in the restaurant. So I always had an income coming in. So I moved out into my own apartment quite a young age of 18, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people stay in education. They'll stay at their parents' household, etc. But I had a chance to gain independence. So I gained independence, and around that time is when I got into DJing. I was always into music, always in and around music industries. But yeah, I got into DJing. And then that just sort of took me into a new world of not so much being in nightclubs at the beginning. It was always house parties, when a lot of my friends were in colleges and universities. So they were always in and around groups of young people that were having house parties. So we'd bring the music setups, we'd do the DJing, we played the music at a lot of house parties. And then around, I think when I was 21 was when I first started traveling abroad for music festivals. And then,
because you were already a DJ and
yeah, I wasn't DJing on these festivals, but I loved being around music festivals. I got invited to a music festival in Serbia in 2008 with some friends. So I went there, and through that I made some local friends in that country, and then that led to DJing in that country. And then I would just always find found it quite easy for a spell. I could find on Facebook, I could find an event in another country, and I'd be like, hey, I'm visiting your country, I'd love to come and DJ, would that be possible? And then just from there, it just networked more and more and more. That, you go to DJ in one city abroad, you will always meet someone who's going to be like, oh, do you want to come and play my event in a few months' time? I'd be like, yeah, take my number, take my details. So by DJing, you would always meet other people, which then wanted you to DJ on their events. So it just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew. And then, yeah, I was going out to cities in Europe to DJ and just living it in a way. I've never really been one to super plan my future. I've always been a kind of live fast, die young type mentality. I don't think, I've never really tried to build a professional career and thinking, my life in 10 years time, I want to have this and this and this. I don't think 10 years in advance. I just don't think like that. So yeah,
big ambition.
I've never really I've been successful in things that I've set out to do, but it's never been
in short term, maybe not a very long term.
More in short
10
term.
years down the line, you will do this.
I never have that, and still to this day, I don't have that. I still live like I'm 25 years old. Do you know what I mean? So it's I just go through life, grabbing opportunities, seeking adventures, creating stories, creating memories, and I love doing all that. But it's interesting. I know people at home, and they say to me, "Oh, your life looks amazing, Scotty. I'd love to live your life," but they don't realize I don't have the things that they have. They have a career, a stability, maybe children, maybe a good job that they've worked hard to build up to, and I'm like, you say you love my life, but if you have my life, you can't have the things that you have. Maybe I look at your life and think, oh, sometimes I would like that security. Maybe I'd like to have children and blah, blah, blah. So it's you kind of always want, in a way, what you don't have. But this is just the life I live, and I enjoy it. And until something comes along which is going to change that, an opportunity which will take me in a different direction, I just carry on. And I love traveling. I love making content while I'm traveling. I love traveling to different places. So, that's just how my life went from the age of 18. I never planned it, and I still don't plan it. Things just happen. Who knows, being here in Andaman might bring me opportunities that I never thought I would, and I might end up doing stuff in Andamans, you know, that might have more future, you know, like I always plan to come back. So through my content and my reels, you know, that might open doors. And when I'm at home, I might have people saying, oh, next time you're in Andaman, let me know. I want to collab, or I want you to come to my restaurant and things like that. So, you know, I'm always open for opportunities. That's kind of what my life is, just different opportunities that come. And I've done all sorts. I've worked at festivals a lot over the last 20 years. I've worked in and around the music industry as part of a radio station for 15 years. So, you know, I'm connected a lot around Manchester for that. I've stepped away from it recently because, you know, I love to travel, and it's kind of, when you've got obligations at home, it's kind of hard to then disappear for 3-4 months sometimes. Like I was in Andaman last year.
You have to be in the same city.
Yeah. So I was in Andaman last year for 4 months. You know, so that's a big chunk of time for the year. So, but that's my choice to make. So yeah, that's just, and I'm currently just back here making content. And at the moment, my life in the UK, it's actually quite boring. I just try and work a lot. I try not to spend that much money at home in the UK. Like everything costs money, everything. So I try and just work, save money, live a bit of a quiet life. So then when I travel, I can immerse myself. I can be away for a couple of months. You know, I don't have to worry about things at home because I've just saved enough money. And yeah, but who knows, it might change one day. But at the moment, that's my life. I kind of just live and work for about 8 months of the year to try and travel for 2 to 3 months. That's my plan. And at the moment, my destination is Andaman. I love being in Andaman.
So, how many countries have you traveled till now? Like, as you said, like you have been traveling for like 20 years now.
Yeah, but a lot of those have been the same destination. Like from 2008 to 2020, probably been in Serbia like 50 times. And with Europe, it's easy. You can just catch like for you guys in India, you know, you probably go to different parts of India. Remember, India is kind of size of Europe in a way. So whereas someone might go from Chennai to Mumbai, that's like traveling from Manchester to Berlin. You know what I mean? So for me, it's different countries, but it's not that far in distance. So yeah, so I've been like in 30 countries. That could be visiting, traveling, DJing, could just be a layover for 10 hours. Like I've been in Dubai. I had a 24-hour layover in Dubai. So, you know, I landed, that's the first time I came to Andaman was this layover. Landed in Dubai, went into the city near Jumeirah, you know, stayed in a hotel, caught a train around, caught the metro around Dubai, back to the airport and left. So, you know, that's still visiting that place. Sometimes it's like, you know, I might have a 10-hour layover. So I land, I catch the bus into a city, walk around, catch the bus back to the airport, but it's still visiting that place. Do you know what I mean? But I do love the Middle East. I've got an affection for the Middle East, Oman, and United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. But I think Oman is my favorite country in the Middle East.
And as you said, like you have stayed in Serbia for like 10 years.
Well, I didn't stay there for 10 years. I just visited many times over 10 years. The longest period I was there was during lockdowns, actually. I was there for like 2.5 months.
So do you have a work visa?
No.
Okay.
It's as a British citizen, because you get a 90-day tourist visa, so you can be there for 90 days. Same with most countries in Europe on a British passport. At the time, the UK was still in the EU, so if I was in Ibiza or if I was in Spain, you know, I can be there for as long as I want. It doesn't matter. But yeah, Serbia was never in the EU, so it was always 90 days. And you don't apply for that visa, they just stamp you in when you arrive.
In your passport.
Yeah, and from that date, you got 90 days. But if you really...
But you can leave anytime, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to be there for a prolonged amount of time, come near the 90 days, you just stamp out, go to another country, come back the next day, stamp in. I know people that have done that, but I would always be there for like maybe 2 to 3 weeks at a time, because if I'm going there to DJ and I'm playing on 4 events in 4 different cities, I can't then play the same event in a month's time. There has to be that gap. Because if people are paying for you to come and DJ, some time has to pass until you can then come back. You know what I mean? So because I didn't want to overdo it. You DJ too much in one place, and like anything, it gets kind of boring for me and for them. Do you know what I mean? So it would always be in for a bit, do some bits, leave, come back a few months later, be in a different country. Like same with Amsterdam, I'll go to Amsterdam, DJ in Amsterdam, be in Amsterdam for a week, maybe DJ in another city in the Netherlands, and then leave. So it was never quite so prolonged amount of time. I've never really lived abroad per se. The longest trip I've ever done being in the same place for one time was in 2024 in the Andamans. 3.5 months here. Like that's the longest I've ever been in one place at the same time. I travel here on like a 1-year visa, so I'm allowed to be in India for 180 days of the 1 year. So I can't be here for the whole year. I can be here for 6 months. That could be a month here.
That is valid till 1 year.
Yeah. So within a 1 year period, I'm only allowed to be here for 180 days. So like what I try and do is do a trip at the beginning and then do a trip at the end. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just being here for 6 months, maybe do 2 months here and then come back for another 2 months later in the year. That's how I try and do Andaman.
Can you jot down sort of difference and the parallels between India and maybe Andaman and Manchester?
Really quite far opposite ends of the scale, and there's different reasons for that. Like any city now, especially in the UK, like our cities are quite multicultural. So it's not like we're just saying, oh, British culture and Indian culture, because it's like it's cultures in cities in the UK are now influenced much more by different races, different religions, different groups, etc. But like on a whole, from a step back, like I'd say there's a lot more of a community spirit here. In the West, you know, there's a lot more capitalism. It's a lot more about money, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that can have such a breakdown on society. I'd say here families stick together a lot more, especially in the way that like life is, and like the big family home and how they would still live together, and that's kind of different in the West. And it's a lot more like corporational in the West. Like, you know, we're nearly 100 years into capitalism, which means you've got the influences of the super rich, and the super rich in the corporations that own other companies, which kind of dictate the way you live. And I'd say it's a lot more unhappier in the West now, especially for the majority. Now, I can only speak from my opinion and my sort of background. I'm from like what we call like a working class background, so I'm not necessarily, I don't come from money. I've never really been around money so much. But like, for instance, public services are private companies. So really their sole intention is to make a profit. Whereas a public service should exist to benefit the public. And you kind of don't find that so much in the West. So I'd say people are struggling in a lot more in the West of just everyday life. Yeah, it might appear that they have more and there's more money, etc., but I don't think it is. From my experiences of meeting people from here to there and other countries, I'd say in the West and in my city and in the UK, people are struggling a lot more.
Struggling in terms of
certainly financially,
and that will lead to
mental health things. You know, people are a lot more miserable.
And that will lead to like
obviously there's hardships everywhere, but the hardships are kind of different. And you know, people are really starting to struggle to get by. Luckily, the way I live, I kind of don't fall into that, because
these things will affect your relationship with your close ones and around people around you.
I certainly think people are happier here, and that might not make much sense, but much more sense of community. You know, there's certainly like in India, people probably have to think twice about doing certain things because is that going to bring shame to their family? That's not so much of a thing in the West, and you see it now, especially with social media.
I mean, I agree that in the West, the quality of life is better. As in,
it depends how you look at it, in my opinion. I wouldn't necessarily say it is. It might appear. Appearances are very different from reality, and I think the West, and I used to say this to a lot of my friends in Serbia, it's like the West has a very good way of appearing like it's somehow this utopia, amazing place to be. It's really not. It's really not. Yeah, you will earn better money, but trust me, you're going to be spending a lot more money as well. The rents are going up, the prices of everything is going up, and it's not matching the normal person's wage rise. You're getting a bigger rich-poor divide, whereas maybe in somewhere like India, that's actually coming down. I don't know. But it's sort of in that transitional period where at the moment, the way it is right now, I don't see a good future for the West. Some people are going to benefit from it. There was a huge shift of wealth in COVID. So the people that have benefited from all that, yeah, their life's getting good. And if you're from one of those families, yeah, your life's getting good. But for the majority of just working people in the UK, it's getting worse and it's getting harder and harder and harder. And public services are becoming less and less and less. Our health service, which was something championed in the UK, is literally crumbling and falling apart because everything's about private companies just trying to make that profit. And with that, it's the society and the people and the everyday, like God, some of the cities, you know, you'd probably be shocked if I took you through some of the British cities. You'd be shocked at the homelessness you'd see, the levels of addiction, the mental health crisis that you see going on in our streets. Bro, it would probably shock you. So, but I can't compare that with mainland India. But you know, here on Andamans, you don't see begging culture.
The other day you were asking like if we have.
I asked you if you have ghettos. I said, is there a ghetto here in Port Blair? Is there a place that I don't know about where you'd be like, you don't want to go there, you don't want to walk down that street.
We don't have that here.
You don't have that here. Whereas there's many places in UK cities where I'd be like, bro, like that place is dangerous. Do you know what I mean? Like, be careful if you're in this neighborhood. Be careful if you're going to be in this place. And I've
been in Delhi, so I can get it.
If you're out and about in London with your phone out, there's going to be someone who's clocked it, and they get around on the bikes and they just swipe the phones. It happens to tourists, it happens to locals, and that's not just in a bad neighborhood, because these guys may come out of the bad neighborhood, go to some of the tourist nice places on the bicycle, swipe the phone. You know, there's a lot of talk in the UK. The police kind of, they're not.
It can be done in like some high society residential areas.
You know, if you're walking even in nice parts of London with a good watch, someone's going to try and come and steal that. So you know, the police have been underfunded for, and this is getting political now, which I try not to do. You know, we've been living in austerity government for such a while where public services have just been cut back, and that does affect things like the police. Like now, it's statistically, you will wait much longer for an ambulance than any time in the previous 20 years. Like it's things like this are getting so much worse. Let's say someone broke into my house and stole my belongings, and I call the police. They're not going to rush around and deal with it. They'll send somebody out at some point to make a report, and that's not because they don't care. It's just because the public services haven't been invested really as much as they should have, and the simple result of that is it gets worse, and we're seeing it in the British cities. And I don't see that here. I can't speak for mainland India, but I don't see that here in Port Blair. I don't see crime getting out of control, out of hand. And of course, when these criminals know this, and criminals aren't stupid, when they know that suddenly they can be stealing mobile phones off people's hands and getting away with it, they do it more and more, and then it becomes like a criminal gang aspect to it. So without getting too political, it's the differences are huge. I feel much safer here in Port Blair than I do in any British city. And any British people watching this will probably agree with me. Like, maybe not everyone, you know, but I'm from that sort of poorer background. Again, I was working from the age of 14 years old. If I was from a rich family, I wouldn't need to have done that. But, you know, I wanted to gain that independence. And the only way for me to gain independence as a teenager was to earn my own money. So, yeah, cultural differences are huge, but we see it on social media as well. I say there's like, it's quite a shameless type thing in society that we're seeing. And yeah, I don't know sort of how that changes. I do know, because you need to invest in services for young people. Some young people, and I've spent quite a lot of time working with teenagers on the wrong side of the law, you know, there's a huge boredom aspect to it. There's just nothing in their life that gives them a good sense of well-being.
So it's way different from what it has been shown in the films.
I'll say there's quite a popular TV series called Top Boy.
Okay.
Now, Top Boy is a very fair representation of what young gang life is like in London. It's not glamorizing it. It's not exaggerating it. It's giving a dramatized version of what is going on a lot in London. It's very raw and it's very truthful. So if anybody's watching this who's seen the Top Boy, that's not like a fantasy drama. That's based on reality in London. And again, how do you address that is by somehow providing things for young people, be it sport, be it social programs, which give them a sense of, oh, there is another way to live without getting into criminal gangs. But then again, you know, the artists they look up to in music, etc., are all very much promoting gang life. You know, young people from a poor background, like all young people, they want to have nice clothes, they want to have nice shoes, but they can't get a job to afford those things. So how are they going to get it? Turns to criminal life. Not all young people are joining gangs, that's not true, but it's certainly on the rise, because once you stem it back to this whole breakdown of society, a huge lack of respect in society as well. It feels like at home everyone kind of hates each other, kind of in a way, whether that's across races, across religions, across class. You know, there's very much, it's such a breakdown of community. Where
we can put it. Okay.
You said earlier, one thing you love about the Andamans is that, you know, people from different class and different religions all kind of get on here. It's very communal. You're seeing that less and less and less at home. And
we have a lot of communal harmony in the islands.
I don't find that at home. I find we're all living under this whole divide and conquer. Do you know what I mean? Very much division at home.
We can put it in this way, that in the West, it's sort of more likely towards individualistic society,
Very
and
much.
here in India is more of
Because
communal.
capitalism, it's the whole idea of what can I gain and how far can I go and how much money can I make.
It's sort of me,
and that
more
means,
than like we.
you know, there's no way, and it's trampling everyone to get that. And that's kind of like, like, don't get me wrong, it's not like everybody hates everybody. But people have a group of friends and they'll have their social quarters, but as a society, it's becoming a very divided society, and it's sad to see. Because then when I travel, and not just in India, but I go to other countries and I see people more connected. I'm still very connected with a lot of friends in Serbia, and I see them at the moment, there's a lot of anti-government protests and stuff. They're coming together to fight against something they see as an injustice. Whereas in the UK, you don't come together to fight together an injustice. They're too busy fighting each other. And it's sad, it's kind of sad. And then it comes into the mental health of, the more people are struggling. Let's say I have a family and I'm struggling, you know, to get my kids what they want, keep the house that we've got, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on people. And where's the outlet for that? And again, I think it's fair to say there's quite a high suicide rate in the UK. There is a huge difference between a place like this with lots of family ties and a communal type living to the West, where it's breaking down. Society is on the break. I'm not going to say it's collapsed, but it's heading into that direction, and nothing seems to exist which is currently going to change that.
Like, we are heavily influenced by the West.
Is that with from younger generation?
Yeah. Not the older generation.
My theory on that is social media. Like, younger generations of any country, and let's say India, they're seeing the West through social media, and I guess that direction which younger people in India might be taking now is very different from their parents' or grandparents' traditions, and I imagine there's quite a friction between that. You know, let's say if young people are still expected to, you know, get married at a certain age and fulfill the wishes of their parents, but they're like, well, hang on, what I'm seeing and what I'm being influenced by from social media is very different from my influences from my parents or grandparents. I can imagine, I don't know anything about this, but I can imagine that's quite a friction change. And does that mean then young people are hiding things from their parents? And, you know, social media, especially in the West, kind of is sexualizing young people, and it's scary. It's scary that, you know, they're seeing things through social media.
The same shit is going wrong in India too.
Yeah. You guys are lucky in a way you don't have TikTok. TikTok is ruining young people. But then again, you know, TikTok and Instagram are not too far different now. But, you know, social media is influencing young people much more than the parents have an opportunity to. And it's scary. And I can imagine if that happens in other countries, especially India, that is going to be the opposite from what the parents wish for their children. And that, I don't know how, again, that gets dealt with. I know TikTok doesn't exist in India. Well, it exists, but obviously it's banned. So and remember, like, young people are very influenced. If you've got young people that are constantly on Instagram, that's their main influence in life. You might think it's just a bit of social media, it's just a bit of fun. It's much deeper than that once you actually consider the psychology level of teenagers who are seeing that and think, oh, I like this, even though it's not good for them, but they like what they see. Their parents can't keep up with that influence, and then you'll have that divide.
Very true. Even like as a kid or as a teenager, in your friend circle, you talk about hookup culture and stuff like that. As you grow up and you see the outcome of that culture, like I can talk about what is happening in India. Like, the divorce rate is so higher, and like sort of in the level traumatizing. Men's suicide rate has been increased because of the same reason. It stems from the same thing.
I'll give you an example. Younger females in the UK, I'm talking maybe 16, 17, 18, they're seeing this whole idea of women using platforms like OnlyFans. And they're seeing how these women could be successful and making money, and it's not a taboo subject anymore. Some of these young girls will actually look up to that and think that's what I want to do. Whereas, like, that didn't exist 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and you're seeing it where suddenly, like, in the West, we're glamorizing women who are doing horrendously disgusting things. I don't even want to name their names, but there's two women who have become very famous over the last 12 months for what they do on their OnlyFans content. It's disgusting, and it's ruining young women.
Things are also normalizing.
But it's glamorized. It's not just normalized, it's glamorized. And that's what these women are then looking up to these, and you just think, oh, because, you know, they're still young in a way, they still should have good positive influences around them, but they don't, because the influence is coming through social media.
Because social media doesn't show you the dark side of
it. Doesn't. And I keep hearing the term OnlyFans star, and it's like, that shouldn't be. And I'm not against women who want to do that sort of thing. But when you look at how it's influencing younger females in society, that's the problem. And it's a big fucking problem that nobody seems to be addressing.
Glamorizing
Because
the whole...
in the West, you haven't got this idea that you're bringing shame to your family. Do you know what I mean? So that's like they just can be influenced by that. They don't think, oh, I know that's wrong because my family would disown me for that. Whereas maybe in India, there's still that element of, oh, I can't be an OnlyFans star because my family will hate me, and that's so important to me. You don't have that in the West, and it's like
we should actually rethink and like which direction we are heading to, and like.
But you need a healthy society for that, and that's what
and
you don't have
rethink
in the
and
West. You don't have
sort
that
of
in the West. It's already gone. It's already been torn apart.
take what is good from the West, maybe in terms of tech, maybe, and like maybe
Innovation.
Innovation.
I believe India's on the up, and I believe the
yeah.
West is on the decline. That's just my personal belief from what I know and what I've seen.
You have made friends all across continents.
Got friends all over the world,
yeah.
different races, religions, continents.
Most of the Desi Boys, Indian boys abroad.
Desi Boys.
Yeah. Most of the guys don't even know and like. Okay. Hesitate to even approach women. Any tips?
So you're
For our
asking me
boys.
to give Desi Boys tips on how to what? Speak to Western women.
Or make friends.
Maybe first thing they should probably do is drop their assumption and drop their perception, because from what I understand, and this is from having female friends, is that obviously in the West we have the type things of hookup culture and whatnot. It's maybe different to what it's like in India. I don't know. But I think a lot of guys assume because hookup culture exists that women will therefore more likely sleep with anyone.
Yeah, because we have seen in movies, in social media.
I really don't think that's the case. Like, because hookup culture does exist, but that doesn't mean all women are just whores. That's far from it. Like, the woman still has to like you, still has to have that vibe with you. It's just a case of, let's say in India you might go on, dates and keep going on dates and then maybe meet each other's family before they have sex. That's not going to be a thing in the West. You may go on a date, but if the woman doesn't like you, sex isn't going to happen. But so you still got to have that good vibe with them. It doesn't mean Western women are easy and going to sleep with everyone. No way. A key thing, and this isn't just for Indian guys, this is for all guys, like women love to be respected. They love to be respected, and respect is such a simple thing to be able to give. But when a woman feels disrespected, she might really fancy the guy. If it's just being a disrespectful ass or not being like that, that's a huge turn off for women. It's a huge turn off for women. So I'd say, Desi guys, drop the assumption that these women sleep around and sleep with everyone. That is not the case. It just means there's probably going to be less dates involved between that happening with Western women. They're much more liberal and sexualized in a way where sex isn't so much a huge thing anymore in the West. Do you know what I mean?
I will give you my POV. I feel in the West people are sophisticated, and here in India we are more of free flowing. Like if we are friends, I would mostly take you for granted. You get what I mean?
You're talking about you as a woman or me as a friend?
No, anybody,
okay.
like not woman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We need to also understand personal space.
Yeah, big time.
I think.
But that comes under respect for me. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to be very...
It's not just about women. It can be anyone.
Like, I've learned that from traveling.
You need to understand the energy of your room or like anyone.
Yeah, read the room,
people around you.
Read the people, just be more aware of what that other person... It's not always about you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, again, that's just respecting their energy, their vibe, but also being able to read that as well. Being able to read
that
when
will help you in your career too, as
it'll help you with everything, any form of human interaction. It'll help you when you're traveling. When I've traveled, I've learned, you know, respect is such a universal language. Do you know what I mean? I have to be very respectful of other cultures. You know, when I'm traveling to a place and the laws and rules are going to be different, I have to drop what's normal for me in the UK, and I have to think, okay, well, the vibe and the rules of this place is different from my home, so I better learn very quickly what the vibe is here and slip into that. Because, and I think that's where, and I'm probably going to get called out a lot for this, I think that's where traveling Americans don't quite grasp that. Like, it's kind of like a bit of a cliche, like, you know, when you're going to meet an American traveling, because they're going to be loud, they're going to somehow act superior, because that's what maybe American culture is like for them in America, you know. But when you're traveling to a different place, you need to realize, actually, no, what I'm used to at home and what is the norm for me at my home is going to be different here, and I need to quickly realize how I act here. Going back to women's in Eastern Europe, you have to be extremely respectful to them. And you might come from a place where actually you don't have to be that respectful to make connections with women. But yeah, you just have to learn to, like I said, read the room, understand the difference of place that you're going to be in, and respect that. Do you know what I mean? Think, in the UK and in the West, it's very normal to queue. You get in a queue for something, and you understand that's the way to do it, yeah? And at home, you would never jump the queue. You would never crowd round. You would queue, yeah? Whereas in India, it's like when I'm at the airport and they announce that the gate's open to board the flight, it's not really a queue. It's like a big crowd, right? Yeah, it's that. So if I'm going to think, oh, actually, I need to queue up, I'm going to be left behind. I'm going to be the last one on that fucking plane. No, I need to learn, actually, that's not what it's like here. So I need to get within that crowd and fight my way through. But my norm coming from the UK is I need to be respectful, take my time and queue up. But when nobody else is queuing up, same if that was happening in the West, if everybody's in a queue and you have a couple of Indian guys who just jump the queue and go to the front, the queuing people are going to deal with that. Sometimes the norm is just different, and I'm not saying queuing's right and gathering's wrong. It's just different. It's just different. But you need to sort of figure out, like, you know, what's the best thing to do in that environment. So yeah, that's sort of like a weird example I would try and give to how what's right at home might be wrong in a different place. You know, being very sort of forward in your ambition might be seen as a good thing in a place like America, but in a place in the East, that'll be like, oh no, like he's too forward. I don't like that energy. I'd rather be someone who's a bit more humble and a bit more calmer. Whereas if you be humble and calm in America, you're going to get trodden on by the people who are very ambitious and willing to trample on you to get that. Different places just have different... Read the energy, you know.
Cultural dynamics.
Yeah, cultural dynamics is a huge thing, especially as a traveller, like, because you could be very easily demonized just by acting how you would at home, but that action in a different place will get you demonized. And that's the same with interactions with people, interactions with businesses, interactions with women. You know, the way you do that at home may be very different to the way so it comes back to that original start of the conversation about the Desi Bros abroad. What's your norm of approaching women in India may be very different to what it is abroad, and you need to very quickly, and you're not going to learn that straight away.
It's not just about Desi Boys abroad. It can be a guy from a village or a tier 3 city boy going to metro cities like Bombay, Delhi, and the same boy approaching a girl from Delhi or Mumbai. The same thing applies on them too.
If you're open, if you can't read the room, read the energy, you're going to learn that quicker than somebody who just doesn't have that awareness. You got to be very aware. You know, maybe just observe a little, maybe even speak to people, or you know, watch things like podcasts about these type things. I don't know, but
I won't call myself a traveler, but so I'll share one of my personal experience, what I was dealing with my mental health back in 2019, and I didn't knew my mental health was getting affected, because here in India there is still a lot of lack of awareness about mental health.
is it still that idea of like, oh, just get over it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's changed a lot in the West over the last 15 years. Now, men especially are actually encouraged to not just man up, as the word would say, is to actually delve into that.
Because we don't speak up about it.
Yeah. Because it's considered as weak.
Yeah. It's not masculine sort of a thing. When I was at work, I used to pretend that, okay, I'm a guy who has a job, who works at this company, does this job, I have this responsibility. So when I'm at work, so I switch myself. Okay, I can pretend anybody, I can play any character.
Oh, okay.
So, but personally, I was so fucked up.
But is it like hiding that real you? Means, well, if I play a character, nobody can see.
Yeah. So most of the people who are dealing with bad mental health have the fear of getting judged by others.
Yeah.
So that led me to, and that's the thing played out for me. But after a while, my personal life was so fucked up that actually lead up and affected my professional life. So in Bangalore, it's sort of a IT hub. Most of the managers from the MNCs, they organize this small trips for 1 day or 2 day trip, where they organize very cheap transportation, stays. I mean, it's good, but it won't be luxurious. Yeah. So you would get it around a 2 day trip in somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000, 2 or 3 day trip, and that would include all of the things, traveling, stay, food. So I was like, okay, I was broke at that point of time. So I thought, okay, no big deal. But I had a fear, like, how would I put myself in that situation where everyone is stranger? So I took that risk. There's a place called Kurchadri in Karnataka. I was surrounded with all strangers. We trekked around 16 kilometers uphill. That trip was great. I could get when people say like traveling is sort of a therapy, and it feels therapeutic to some people. So I felt that.
Because there's a sense of achievement with traveling, just getting to a place. There's a sense of getting out your comfort zone, which is hugely important.
And
for
you need
humans.
to speak,
interact
with strangers.
You like I said, have to interact. You'll meet new people, and you're just not stuck in that norm of every day. And every day can, when you're doing the same thing, it can just become so mundane. Even if it's quite live an exciting life, but if you're doing the same thing every day, and so that traveling can bring so much to that slight sense of adventure. You've created a new memory.
You get to learn so many things, man.
Learn so much.
Traveling
is an education that I cannot explain the value of in words. Never could.
You get so much wisdom from different people.
People that don't do it have no idea about what we're talking about right now. No fucking idea.
Here in India, traveling, increasing number of travelers.
And the internet's made it easier as well. Even for me to come here, apps it becomes getting a visa. It's all becomes so much easier with the internet, and apps and things like that. So I could see it growing, and I don't think anybody's ever gone traveling and got home and been like, I hated every minute of that. But there might be parts of your travel which you don't like. My experience with the dogs, but I still, that's not like I get home like, oh, that was nobody's ever, I believe, gone traveling, got home and was like, I'll never ever do that again. I don't think that happens. Unless you're an American boy going to North Sentinel.
Okay. North Sentinel has been in the news and in the internet for a while now.
It's a huge international thing. It's the reason why I discovered the Andamans. Remember that? It's internationally, the whole idea of North Sentinel Island is just quite a big thing.
You must have heard about that American guy,
John Chow.
John Chow.
Yeah.
2018, that thing happened. Cut to now, 2025. Mykhailo Polyakov.
Let's just call him the American dude. Let's just call him the
American.
Don't want to say asshole, but yeah.
We were at this beach called Kurmadera.
You were there when he got arrested?
No. He wasn't arrested by that time. Because in India, laws for tourists a bit different than for locals. So you need to go through court trials. By the time we were in that resort, there's some tourist who has been missing from, I think, a day.
First red flag.
He was already caught by the police. So this guy actually had got inflammable boat.
We call it a dinghy.
Dinghy. So he got this inflammable small boat from Arizona to Andamans.
Red flag number 2.
Yeah. And he also had a small motor, Yamaha small motor.
Yeah.
So he got in the beach and he started off around 2 o'clock and he went straight up to North Sentinel. He was there for an hour maybe in that island and he was calling out for the tribal people.
With a whistle, I believe.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, but nobody showed up. I assume that they might be in their shelters by that time.
Yeah.
He left a coke and coconut for the tribal people, which is big threat towards that.
It's a big no-no.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't do it, but this guy has done it.
I mean, that bastard says that he wants to modernize the tribe. I don't know how
you can kill them all. You can infect them all.
I mean,
by that.
This tribe is one of the oldest tribe in the whole world.
I think one of the only uncontacted tribes, certainly away from the Amazon.
So the next day, Saturday, till I think 7 o'clock, nobody knew where he was and he didn't showed up. So these people from the resort had to register a complaint of missing report. And around in 2 to 3 hours, they got him around 11 o'clock, I think, in the night, Saturday. And I was there the next day, Sunday. There were 3 policemen on duty surveilling him.
Could they put restrictions on him? He's not allowed to go into Port Blair?
No. He have to be there in that resort. I get to meet that guy. He told he was from Arizona. And by that time, we didn't had any fucking idea that he went to North Sentinel. And he didn't mention that. He just said that I had the boat. I didn't know that.
Even the brief part of the story, I was like, I know what this fucker's done. I just felt it inside. I was like, nah,
I couldn't even believe that with that fucking tiny, small, inflammable boat could go that far.
He's lucky as well because then now the weather's gone bad. He wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have survived that journey.
He was so fucking lucky.
He's more lucky than he knows.
Then 2 days later, after the investigation happened, the officially statements were given by the police that he had actually gone to North Sentinel and came back. And I was going crazy. I mean, you can...
I'll tell you why. Because to me, like I said, the whole North Sentinel thing is a big international... It's like an international... Not conspiracy because it's true, but it's like a wow thing. Wow, there's this island that has this tribe and they're known to be hostile, and obviously John Chow made them up things. There's not going to be an American that will come to this part of the world, have his own boat, disappear for a day and not try to go to North Sentinel. Do you know what I mean? There's no other place where he didn't just go out to experience the water. No. In my instinctual assumption, that's what he's gone and done. If he's in this part of the world and he's disappeared for that amount of time and he's got his own boat, he's probably one of these Americans that for clout wanted to make a YouTube video about doing this.
You mentioned that.
Because I just knew it. Despite the fact that he could infect these tribes and kill these people off, he doesn't give a fuck about. Probably even the fact that he could be murdered doing this, he doesn't give a fuck about. He just wants to somehow be this one person that does it to make a YouTube video that's going to get millions and millions and millions of views. That was my instinctual thought. Even before I'd found out he'd gone to North Sentinel, I was saying to you, this guy's either tried or he's gone to North Sentinel. I just knew it.
Because he mentioned that I went to some random island nearby. We also believe that Kurmadera, the location, is way, way, way far away from North Sentinel. We couldn't even imagine he could have made it to North Sentinel with that tiny boat.
Yeah.
And this was the third time he tried that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it on this one trip, or he's tried previously years before?
Yeah. The first time he came to Andamans was around 22 or 23. That was the first time he did the recce of not Sentinel Island, but islands which were not restricted and not prohibited. In the first trip, he tried to approach the local people and bribe them, but
he had like 2 lakhs. Yeah.
This time. The people were talking about, why are you traveling with a lot of cash? Like, I think it was somewhere around 1 to 2 lakh rupees maybe. And he was like, I had an idea that carrying so much money is illegal in India in cash.
For me, it's not the legality of what's right or wrong, it's the suspicions around it. If you're going to be in India for 2 weeks, you don't need that kind of money. If you're going to be in India for 5 months, then that's a normal amount of money. So it's probably like, well, what are the conditions around your travel which governs how much money you've brought and willing to spend?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, now I feel like I should have slapped that bastard.
Yeah.
I mean, we all respect, as a localite, as an islander, that we must respect the tribal people, and they
as a human.
Yeah.
But Americans don't. I can't really say that for all. That's a generalist statement. But some Americans, that doesn't register to them. It's all about their own clout and their own.
They feel like they are superior.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah, man.
And what I don't like about that as being a tourist here is, does that create problems for tourists like me who have no wish to go anywhere near North Sentinel, but suddenly there's more scrutiny when you try and come to these places? Are they going to introduce 30-day allowance permits and things like that, all because one person wanted to do this? That
puts a lot of eyeballs on people like you as a tourist.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I don't like. I'm glad they caught him. I don't know what's come of it yet. Has he been deported?
Not yet. No. I'm not sure about.
But yeah, it's like it brings problems for the rest of us tourists that do follow the rules. That don't go and do these things, and that's what really has left a sour taste in my mouth. And again, just the fact of like, what makes you think you have the fucking right to do this? Like, what gives you this superior of like, well, I'm gonna not care about the rules, not care about the actual safety of these tribes, and I'm just gonna do it because I want to. Do you know what I mean? We can't all do what we want to do in life. If I met him, fuck what I would say to the guy. Again, I'd want to slap him, just to be like, why? Like, you've done all this, what, to make a YouTube video? It's kind of disgusting in a way.
Yeah, bro.
When you told me, I kind of knew instinctually straight away.
I mean, you told me that he could be one of the streamers who could do it.
You get these streamers from the West and from America now that seem to go to Asian countries, and they just cause a nuisance. They don't necessarily break huge laws. They break small laws to cause a nuisance, because they've got people watching their stream, donating money, saying, I give you $5, go and do this. I give you $5, go and do that. And they're becoming more and more and more of a problem. And it's like, is this guy just one of them? Obviously, you can't live stream from North Sentinel unless you've got Starlink. It would be possible if you had Starlink, you could literally live stream and do that. Don't know whether he had this kind of
He must have had some sort of a device with him apart from his mobile to get to the Sentinel Island. Like, I don't know, like directions and stuff like that.
Who knows?
And like some sort of a GPS thing to head back from where he started, because he wasn't way far away, like where he got.
What my worry is, and I said this to you from day one, let's say this guy does get content online for it and it does really well. That will unfortunately encourage more people to try and do the same. That's why this guy needs to be dealt with. He needs to be dealt with Jesus, they want to throw him in jail for 7 years, throw him in jail. You know, use him as leverage for a prisoner exchange with an Indian locked up in America at some point, who knows what. But if this guy feels like he got away with it and is not remorseful about it, I guarantee you it will inspire other people to do it. And inspire other people who, again, have no care for the tribes and their well-being, have no care for themselves, and have no care for the local rules. And there's people like that that don't exist. They just don't respect, they just don't give a fuck. All they care about is their own clout and their own online, what they can gain. People in America will think, oh, yo, I can go and do the same. And then you've got a problem. Then as a tourist, I've got a problem. We've all got a problem. It shouldn't have done it for so many reasons, but what implications in future is that going to leave? And that could be a problem for tourists coming here, tourists like myself who very much respect this place and respect the rules of this place. And, you know, these guys who think, yeah, you're not even going to get in that much bad trouble. Yeah, so what? If I get deported, I'll never go back anyway. At least I got to do it.
These people who tried that, like John Chow and Mykhailo, I think they had some...
John Chow, certainly. John Chow's story is, you know, the idea that he went to spread Christianity and whatnot. People who want to talk about their religion and try and involve people in their religion, okay, but this whole idea of going to North Sentinels to try and turn these people Christian, to me that's a kind of form of mental illness. It's an extremist level. Do you know what I mean? That is, to me, that anyone with common sense would be like, that's just the stupidest shit I've ever heard. But this guy genuinely believed he could, you know, what was he going to do? Take them a Bible? What? Like they can fucking read it. Do you know what I mean? It's what crossed his mind to think, oh, this is going to work? What? How did he have the result of, yeah, he's going to turn these people into Christians? It's like, no, that's never going to happen, my friend.
Like, I don't buy what he's saying.
What would have happened if he'd have met them?
Yeah.
You can't communicate with these people. You can infect them and kill them.
And the things he left, the coconut and Coca-Cola, that's what
would they do? Just crack it open and drink it and be like, oh, this is
No, they
nice.
couldn't retrieve that because there was a team which was sent to the non-sentinel to retrieve that, but they couldn't do.
And let's say 20 people die from infection of the tribes. That's going to make them 10 times more hostile to anybody who comes to the island. Again, these people, they don't think about any form of consequence. All they care about is then it's...
if you're traveling, you must know and respect the law of the land.
That's the first thing. We were talking about it earlier. Respecting your surroundings, reading the room, understanding what you can and cannot do. And if you're going to break
those, was on a mission, man.
If you're going to break those rules for clout, then you shouldn't be allowed to leave your own country, in my opinion. Stay in your own little shithole where whatever you do for clout only affects your own people. You could be a mass murderer. This guy could be a mass murderer right now because he could infect these tribes and kill many of them. Oh, what was it? Was it worth it? And he could still sit here and be like, yeah, it was worth it. Fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck you. But it's always Americans. Sad to say, but it's always Americans. John Chow, this guy, it's always fucking Americans. Like, what gives them... I don't think I've ever met people from another nation. Hard to say that considering what the British did here, but let's that aside in current today. I don't meet travellers from any other nation that have this superior complex where they think the rules don't apply to them. First rule of travelling is you better learn to respect the rules of where you're going very quickly. And he didn't, and who knows what will come of it. But yeah, it's such a mad story, so mad that it happened here, because I've had lots of people from home sending me these stories, reaching out like, yo, do you know this happened? And I'm like, and I know a lot about it, even more than what I could talk about at that time, because, you know, it wasn't official yet and I didn't want to be that person. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's international news. For what? But hopefully it'll be dealt with and there'll be consequences, because consequences need to happen so not more people. You don't want Andamans known to displaces where people come to try and get to North Central.
And this will get more restriction.
Exactly. Then suddenly we might have permits involved and things like that. And I don't want to lose a place that I love. Suddenly I can't come here in the same way. So yeah, I hope to God there's consequences.
The more number of cases this happens, and eventually it will affect the Andaman tourism.
And it's sad, all because people who who can't respect
yeah,
other people and respect laws, man. It's so sad, bro. Listen, I've actually, if you ask me like what's the worst place you've ever visited, my answer is the United States.
Do you have any crazy experiences or like?
Yeah, like usually I go to places to visit the places, visit the culture, visit the lands. My experience of going to America was to visit a person. Brief story. I met someone during our lockdowns.
Okay.
She was in America. I was in the UK. She wasn't a journalist, but she was a streamer. So you're aware of the George Floyd murder that happened in America, where the policeman killed that guy. So as a result of the George Floyd murder, there was a lot of protests happening all over America. So this girl, this woman, she was from where George Floyd got murdered. She lived in the same city, lived in the same area. She was live streaming the protests. I was watching her streams. So so that's how I got to know this person. Then we just connected through messages, and we became quite close. We became quite close over a number of things. Also, lockdowns were in place in America and in the UK, so none of us were really doing anything. So we started like hanging out, being on calls, video calls for like a lot of the times, and I actually flew out to meet this person. Let's just say it wasn't a good trip. A lot of things went wrong.
So you went to New York?
It wasn't New York. Minneapolis was the city. So a city close to Minneapolis was Chicago. So I actually flew to... And if we ever were going to meet, we always said, I don't want to meet in America or in the UK. If we're ever going to meet, let's meet in a different part of the world. Let's meet up there. But for whatever reason, I ended up flying to America. So we met in Chicago, spent the first night together, which was absolutely fine, no problems. Then we drove back to a house in Minneapolis, and let's just say it went sour, it went bad. Yeah, so I don't really have any good experience of America. The people I met, I found it was quite a paranoid nation of people. To the point of where I was having to use a very British spoken accent. As soon as I spoke in a very British, well-spoken accent, people are like, oh, like, he's just a Brit. Honestly, I spoke like Harry Potter when I was in the States, because it made people change their view towards me.
And how long were you there in America?
I was in America total about 5 days, but like 3 of those days was getting home. Because my journey home was just, it was insane. It was like, so when I finally got away from her and her family and people close to her, because like I said, things went sour. I actually ended up in, not going to go into it, but I ended up in quite a dangerous situation. So I got away from them. And
you were in Minneapolis.
Okay, anyway, an American city. My first flight was from Minneapolis to Denver, Colorado. Then I was in Denver, Colorado for about 12 hours. Then I had another flight to Washington, D.C. Now there's 2 airports in Washington, D.C. So I landed in one and flew out of the other. So I had to cross Washington, D.C., which was quite interesting. And then I flew out from Washington, D.C. to Portugal. And then from Portugal, I flew back to London. It was a crazy long journey.
And how long was this journey about?
I think probably about 40 hours.
40 fucking
A lot of it's layovers, you know what I mean? But yeah, long ass journey, but I had to get out of there. It was a crazy situation. So that's my only instance of America. I'd love to go back to America. I'd love to go do something a bit different, see some friends out there and whatnot. But whenever I've got time and money to travel, I always come to Andaman. Going to America could be a movie. Like, it's a crazy story. But yeah, so it's the only time I traveled for a person, like, really. And it kind of taught me like to never do that again. Sometimes you can travel to a place where a person is connected to it and involved, but I solely traveled to America just to meet this person, and God, I learned my lesson. That's all I'm gonna say. I learned my lesson.
We're almost towards the end of our podcast. Can you jot down and like sort of reasons for other foreigners from other countries to visit Andamans?
No, I don't want them to come, because it might be like Americans who go to North Sentinel.
True,
this is my secret place. Yeah, any tourists go to Thailand. No. It's difficult because a lot of people want to visit India. That never appealed to me. I never had this idea of, I want to visit India. I just learnt about the Andamans, and I love the idea of remote tropical islands and that, and so I came here. But I certainly, if people are going to be in India, like, definitely check out the Andamans. Like, the way I would sum it up, it's been said to me many times, and it's a philosophy I stick with. Andamans has all the good of India, but it doesn't have the bad. And that's such a big thing, especially being safety and a traveller. But it's a beautiful place with amazing people, and there's so much to see and do. There's so many parts of it, like, and especially if you're from my country, if you're from the UK, there's a lot you'll learn about British colonialism as well, which I always implore any British person, like, you want to learn the truth about the British Empire, you need to come to places like this, because it's here in museums, it's here in the cellular jail where you can learn about what the British did to freedom fighters, and do you know what I mean? Because it's like one country's terrorist is another country's freedom fighter, and that still exists today. You could have conversations with that. I'm not going to go into it, but you know what the British Empire teaches about, like, terrorists from the British Empire.
Even that movie called Sardar Udham. So that guy, he was a freedom fighter for us, but
exactly.
That was
Sardar Udham was considered a freedom fighter to Indians, but to the British and what they told the British people, they're terrorists. You know what I mean? You'll never learn the full truth about the British Empire in the UK, because, you know, there's so many dark stories which they don't want you to know. It's not just in India, parts of Africa as well. So many dark stories. So yeah, it's worth, if you're interested in that form of history, definitely come here to learn about that. But also, it's just a beautiful part of the world that hasn't been overrun by tourists yet, I'll say, because who knows what can happen in 20 years. But I said it earlier, going to places like Thailand don't really appeal to me. I'm sure they're beautiful places on earth, but there's so many tourists that go. I can be stood on any beach in Andaman, and I can make a video of it, and the beach will be empty. You make a video of the same beach in Thailand, and it will be full of tourists. So I kind of like getting away from the West in a way, and I wouldn't like to go to a place that is just overrun by tourists, and Andaman isn't like that. It's really not like that. It's still a bit low-key. You know, I speak to travellers, I made a reel about this, I speak to travellers from the West about Andaman. Most of them have never heard of it. I speak to Indians in the UK, they haven't even heard of Andaman. So it's still kind of like a little bit of a secret, and if you're into visiting places that are different from the norm and are off the beaten path, even for backpackers and travellers like myself, Andaman is still a place with so much natural beauty and so much rich in culture. You know, it's an amazing place to be, especially if you're from the West. It's economically good to come here, because when I can save money from working in the West, then I come here, you know, it's affordable, it's very affordable, and it's just an amazing place. I came here for the first time in 2023 having no idea about this place, and I fell in love with this place, and I keep returning. You'll have such an amazing time if you visit Andaman.
So we are almost done.
You say that, you're quite sad about that. We're almost done.
No, I mean, as you said earlier, and you were a radio jockey. So you are very familiar with the setup.
Usually it's the other way around, but of course, I'm very
and I'm very new to this. Like, I'm sort of on a mission, or maybe my goal is to create content about the Andamans, and podcasting is a way out where it is easy to execute and sort of, because I have created podcast content earlier. Me and my friend had created a podcast show earlier, but that was back in Delhi, and it was more of artists and musicians on our podcast, and this is way different from that. But can you give me some tips or maybe a feedback or about what the conversation we had?
Never strive for perfection, strive for progress. You know what I mean? Perfection is something very hard, especially when you're starting out. It's something extremely difficult to achieve, whereas progress isn't. Do you know what I mean? You're always going to progress, you're always going to, and that's the same with any form of creative media. Same with me in YouTube. I don't strive for perfection, I strive to progress. So always progress and get better. You know, be very self-critical. You can watch your podcast back And I guarantee you, and this will be happening for as long as you make podcasts.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Pick 3 things that you're happy with and 3 things that you want to improve. And I mean, I could do a radio show for 1 hour. I could have been doing radio for 5 years. I will still find the 3 things that I was disappointed with and the 3 things that I'm happy with. Do you know what I mean? Call it the 6. Like, you will always find, so you can watch this back and pick out 3 things that you think, okay, I want to improve that. But pick about 3 things which you think, you know what, I'm happy with that. Those 3 things might be different in different productions, but you know.
My first podcast, it did well in some aspects. My close friend also have given me feedbacks on that, and I had sort of implemented in this podcast basically.
Because it's progression. Once again, that's how you progress. Don't strive for the perfection. Fuck it, it's too difficult, it's too far away. But striving for progression is an easy thing, and it all just comes with experience and confidence of doing it. Like,
and consistency is the only key you can.
Being prepared as well, you know, having certain things to go down to. You don't always have to, things don't have to be perfectly scripted, but just know what points you're going to fall back on. You know, let conversations be prepared and do a bit of your research of what you're going to be talking about, and you know, and then the rest just comes with time and experience, man. Honestly, like, our conversation has been flowing. Trust me, I've interviewed people that give fucking 1-word answers. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. One of my friends, she's a tattoo artist. Now, me and her could have lengthy conversations about all sorts. As soon as I put her in the chair on the radio, she just shut down. She just literally shut down, 1-word answers and and it's just
so me.
like, yeah. So, you know, sometimes you'll find you'll do podcasts with people where you've really got to carry it, and somewhere it'll naturally flow. That's just a dynamic between 2 people. But the more comfortable you can make it and make them, the easier it's going to be. And yeah, I was interviewing people on the radio for like 15 years. So you know, even I had a certain progressive story and learnt certain things. Another tip: never be a fanboy, but never be too critical as well. You always want your audience to make their own minds up about a guest. Do you know what I mean? If you're acting like a fanboy, nobody likes that. And you haven't acted like a fanboy towards me, which is good. But it's like, nobody wants to see that. Do you know what I mean? You want to just remain neutral. And you might have a guest on who actually you don't fucking like for whatever reason.
Maybe.
You don't want to come with that angle because the audience will see that. And remember, half of your audience will like, half of your audience won't. You need to get in the middle. All you want to do is purvey and show and be a vehicle to your audience of your guest. As soon as you come,
I mean, you can put your opinion, but
you can put your opinion.
You need to like be
but you
neutral
need to
about,
present it from a neutral perspective.
Yeah.
Let your audience come to their conclusion, and you need to give them the option to have that. If you come in already with your presumptuous view, they'll feel like you're trying to manipulate, and that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Even though half the people will agree with you, you want to remain neutral and let the guest have their time. But that's more if you're going down interviewing politicians and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, use of language, we call it TED when we was teaching it. When you ask a question, you don't just ask them the question, you say, tell me about a thing. Explain me this. Describe that. Do you know what I mean? I could ask you a question, an open question, and I'll get an answer. If I ask you to explain me and ask you the same question, but put explain at the beginning, chances are the guest is going to give you more of an explanation. This is just small, like, little psychological words. But yeah, otherwise it's a confidence thing. It's a carry on. But yeah, who knows if I'd love to do radio workshops here in Andaman, based around
I mean, like, we would
presenting techniques and things like that. I could do that all fucking day.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was doing for quite a long time. So, because I was also not just presenting on the radio, I went into teaching it as well, especially working with teenagers and working with younger people. You know, so yeah, I'm very comfortable in this type environment, and I enjoy this type of environment. So, yeah, I don't do a podcast at home because everybody does, and I'm not so creative at home. At home, I just want to keep my head down, work, save money, and travel. And then when I'm traveling, I can get involved in creative industries like video making, going on podcasts. I've done stuff with your friend, you know, video making, things like that. So yeah. So yeah, I love to be creative when I travel. So that's it.
I mean, our conversation can go on for hours.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you as a producer. Luckily, I don't have to worry about those things. I'm just a guest. So. But no, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed coming on, talking about Andamans, my experience here, stuff in the news that's gone on locally, cultural differences, and you know, to anyone watching this, if this your first time seeing me, then do go check out my content, like for sure, because I love making content, and if people enjoy my content, then thank you very much. For every view I get, I appreciate so much. For any comment, any like I get, I appreciate it so much. I'll always be humble. I'm never going to walk around and act like a celebrity. I never want to act superior in any place that I'm in. I'm a humble guy, and I make sure I stay humble. So, but yeah, if anyone's seen my content, then I super appreciate it.
Scotty MasterPeace for you.
Yeah, Scotty MasterPeace, check it out.
Let's go, man.
Scotty and Peace on the Instagram, and I'm breaking the fourth wall now. Go check out my content. I super appreciate that. Much love to the Andamans.
Also, plug in.
Go check out everything that Ajay's doing, and keep supporting it, because this is your local creative people, and Andamans is a beautiful place, so let's show it to the whole world.